Welcome to The Art of Becoming Visible, the podcast for women who are ready to stop shrinking, blending in, and waiting for permission to be seen. I'm your host, Mary Michelle Nidifer, Master Style Coach, speaker, author, and creator of the Style Finder ID system. And I believe visibility isn't about becoming someone else. It's about being unapologetically you. Here, we explore the powerful intersection of style, identity, confidence, presence, and self-expression, especially at midlife, when so many women begin to question who they are and what they want. Through soulful connections, transformative stories, expert interviews, and honest conversations about what it really means to be seen, this podcast will help you reclaim your voice, your presence, and your power. Because you're not invisible, you're unexpressed. So grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's explore the art of becoming visible together. Welcome back, my friends, to episode number 301. You were not designed to decline. You were designed to divine. This is a beautiful interview with one of my new friends, Francoise Everett. Francoise is a gorgeous woman that I connected with a few months ago, and I interviewed her for my upcoming book. She is a joy, and you're going to hear us deep dive into so many wonderful topics. Francoise Everett is a transformational mentor, speaker, and guide for women navigating midlife, menopause, and beyond. She was born in France and raised between Europe and the U.S. She brings a rare blend of French elegance, cultural depth, and embodied wisdom to her work. And yes, she does bring style. She's also the founder of Elle Unleashed, a body of work devoted to helping women reclaim their radiance, their confidence, and their sovereignty through one powerful truth. You were not created to decline. You were created to divine. With over 12 years in global consulting, more than a decade in transformational coaching, and a lifelong devotion to embodied well-being, Françoise helps women move beyond fear, perfectionism, and cultural conditioning to reconnect with their deepest truth. Through her signature approach, elegant self-leadership, Françoise blends hormone education, nervous system support, feminine embodiment, and soul alignment to guide women back to their bodies, their wisdom, and the most authentic expression of who they are. In this powerful conversation, Françoise joins me for a soul-stirring exploration of visibility, self-expression, aging, and the hidden beliefs that keep so many women playing small. Together, we unpack the cultural conditioning, inherited messages, and inner fears that cause women to disconnect from their own presence, and what it really takes to reclaim confidence, radiance, and authenticity at midlife. This episode is an invitation to stop shrinking, stop apologizing, and remember that who you've been all along. In this episode, we explore why so many women unconsciously shrink, dim their light, or fear being too much, how comparison, perfectionism, and inherited beliefs rob us of confidence and visibility, and why midlife may be your most powerful, radiant, and liberated chapter of your life yet. So grab a beautiful cup of tea, pull up a chair, and let's dive in. What if the reason you feel stuck in your style isn't because you've lost your style, but because you've lost your connection with yourself? Take my free signature style quiz to discover your unique style archetype and learn how to use style as a tool for confidence, visibility, and authentic self-expression. Because you're not invisible, you're simply unexpressed. Just go to thevisibilitystylist.com. So, Françoise, I'm so excited to talk to you today. I cannot wait to hear what you have to share with our audience.
Well, thank you. I'm excited to be here with you, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what unfolds in this conversation. I love having conversations like this.
Oh, me too. Me too. So, why don't you start? Tell us. So, you're French, you're from France. Tell us a little bit about your journey to where you are.
Okay. So, yeah, I was born in France. Didn't really grow up there for very long. I was 2.5 when my family moved to Switzerland, the Italian speaking part of Switzerland. And which I loved. It's so beautiful. And then my family moved to New York when I was 10. So I feel like I've been kind of gone from, like what I did have is the French influence at home. So I felt like my whole life there was a lot of French influence inside the home, and then I would walk out and have that life, like whether it was in Italian speaking Switzerland or in New York and English speaking and so forth. And yeah, so it's always had an influence on me. And I would say over the last 15, 20 years, I've really felt like I've always loved it. I've always loved it. I'll be honest. I've always loved my heritage. And more, I'm like, oh, I want more of this in my life. I want, so it's like infused my work and it really infuses in many ways the ways that I live, that I kind of sort of literally inhabit my life. And I've had American careers in, very high level places and also international people there. So, like, I've always loved that aspect of my life and my upbringing, if that makes sense.
Yes, yes. I love that you have so much cultural influence in your life, and you bring so much of that into not just your business, but who you are today.
Do actually, I do. Because it speaks to my soul. I think a a lot of it, I'm sure, is, how you grow up, of course. Like, how could you not be influenced by that? But then I really love it. And so I choose to create as much as I can of it in my own life.
I love that. I know that we've certainly talked about many things around style and beauty and everyday. But today I want to shift the focus a little bit. I
Yeah.
want to talk about visibility.
Okay.
And I know that it's interesting because visibility in France for women and visibility in the US can be a little bit different. What would be some of the main differences that you've seen, that you've noticed?
So it's interesting. It's interesting because can you say more? Actually, can I ask you to say a little bit more about in which way you mean visibility? Because I can take this in different directions.
Yes, visibility, I think I think a lot of it starts with how we see ourselves, especially as we hit midlife,
Yes.
but also how we're seen, how we're experienced, what's expected from us. And it's very different. It's
Yeah,
very different in France than
it
it is in the
is.
US.
Yeah, and I haven't been back in quite a few years. But my experience is, and I also work in the space of sort of women in that midlife, and beyond space. And so we have a lot of conversations around this. And my experience is that, it's not an absolute thing, but women in France are not ever seen as diminishing. They're not, there's like, I can't say there's no conversation about that because I don't know fully. But my whole life, whenever I've visited France and been around relatives or my mother's friends from many years ago, whom I love to see, there's like this, there's no apology ever for who you are and where you are in life. Whether you're struggling or not, whether it's midlife or aging or not aging, like it doesn't matter. It's life. It's just embraced, accepted. It's not judged.
Hmm.
There's no judgment. And I find that my experience is that a lot of the French women are just they're really like in this place where it's that's who I am. Like there's a bit of attitude, like a bit of like that je ne sais quoi that people go, what is that? Like I want
Hmm.
some of that. I've always loved that aspect of it, and of course I'm here in the United States. And on the other side of that, my experience here, this is going to be so interesting. My experience here of being visible for your business, for example, being visible on social media, which you have an extraordinary presence, right? Which I admire. Like you're always on video, and I'm like, oh, look at her. Like, this is awesome. My cultural upbringing, this is something I've had to work through, which is really interesting when you sort of see the nuance, is a little bit of like this holding back. Like, don't be too much. Like, don't be too seen. Don't be too. It's such a play on the cultures. And so for me, I've had to be like, a lot of what would run through my mind is, what are my French relatives going to think if I show up this way? Like, we all think of it in some capacity, right? But culturally, I'm so steeped in that culture that I love. And it's funny for me to say that because I've lived here in the States since I was like 10 years old, right? So it's like almost 5 decades. Like, right? And so when you ask me about visibility, it's like, oh, through which lens? You know?
Definitely. Well, it's interesting that you say that. I mean, I think the same could be said here. Like, we certainly hear the
Absolutely.
messaging here
Yeah.
from an early age. Don't be too much. Don't stand out. What's somebody else going to think? And this is what we really have to fight against. But I think that breaking through I think something happens at midlife.
Oh,
Let's talk about that.
does it ever?
Let's talk about that. I mean, so much happens at midlife, right? But I think when it comes to visibility, I almost feel like I've seen women fall in one of two camps. Either one, they may have been more visible and they fall into I should be invisible now that I'm over 40, 50, 60, etc. I'm expected to be visible. Or they fall into the I don't give any, I got no more F's to give. I don't
Hmm.
care. It's almost this rebellion.
Yes. Yes. I agree with you. I, what was the first one you said where I shouldn't be visible? Like I should be,
Yeah, like
right?
don't be too loud, don't stand out, don't be seen. You know,
Yeah.
we're told these messages from like an early age. And I think so many women internalize that. We don't feel, so by the time we start our business, we're like, oh my God, now I'm supposed to be seen. And it's like, I talk about driving with one foot on the brake or one foot on the gas and one foot on Fabienne talks about this. So, but she talks about driving with one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake, but it's like starting my business, I need to be seen, but we're like, oh no. Oh no,
Hmm.
because all this stuff starts to come up.
It does, for
Yeah.
sure.
But
I've definitely lived it. Definitely
yes.
lived it. And I do, yeah, so I hear the three camps, the three categories. I found that I could be fine being visible as long as it's in accordance with what's expected of me. Like that was okay. That was okay. Like, but if it's outside of how I am perceived
Mm.
by, let's say, relatives. I mean, I remember years ago when I first got on Facebook, my mother saying to me, I was perfectly well dressed too, by the way. I don't know where it came from. And she's like, what are you trying to be on Facebook? And it like halted me for
Mhm.
months,
Mhm.
months. I was like, ugh, like it was painful. And so, yeah, those comments and those expectations that are spoken or unspoken. And at the same time, there is a part of me that's never felt like I was completely invisible, like or that I should be. I've never felt that. It was more like I've literally not felt that. It was more about the next level in order for it to serve my business.
Yes.
That's where I have felt the biggest like stretch, if you
Yeah.
will, right? And then the midlife thing where you are just out of the F's, like you're like, whatever. Yeah, I really experienced that very strongly as I went, through menopause, which is actually a 6 to 10 year journey of our body fully
Mhm.
recalibrating, which when I started studying that, I thought that is the coolest thing ever. Like I am so happy that this is happening, even though it didn't feel good for a long time. But when I reframed this and studied it, like I really spent time reading and studying it, I was like, that's unbelievable. Like we were designed for this time.
Hmm.
We were designed for that wisdom. And I do feel that when I was going through that, anything I had tolerated was like, could not be stomached anymore. Like I felt it physiologically. I was like, I can't stomach that. Cannot take it. Like, you know? And there's a coming into our own where I think it's fabulous that we don't care so much.
Hmm.
We just like, and that's where I think the French woman comes in. She's like, like, this is what I am, and this is what you get, and like, take it or leave it. Like, I'm not here to please you, you know.
Hmm.
And that's
Absolutely.
I'm saying that in a playful way, of course.
Yeah, yeah. But I think that's why so many women, once they hit 40 or they're coming of age, they want to go to Paris. And I've had so many women tell me, and I know my own experience, it's like, I found myself when I went to Paris, or I felt
Oh,
more
I
like
just have
myself.
chills with you saying that.
Yeah, and it's almost like a homecoming. And I
Hmm.
think it's because when we can go to a place where we're not going to be judged for our age or whether we have gray hair or not, or what our body type is or whatever. I mean, not that there's zero judgment, not that nothing exists over there, but it's just a different expectation. It's an appreciation.
Exactly. It is an appreciation.
But I want to go back to double click on, if you will, when you talked about when you first got on Facebook and your mom said that to you. Who do you think you are? What do you think you're doing? Like, that's a big deal. And I really want to zero in on that because I think this for business owners, for especially at midlife, like when they're thinking about starting something new, and then we have to worry about our kids. What are our kids going to say? How did you handle that? Like, that's a big issue with visibility and can be a big block for a lot of people. Like, what is somebody else going to say? My mother, my friends, my parent, like fill in the blank. But so many women struggle with that, and I think they let it hold them back. How did you handle that? And how did you overcome it so that you could get out there and shoot your great videos and show your beautiful face on social media?
Honestly, I think it took me a while. It took me a while. I had to allow that to it was just a big it was me allowing myself to evolve through that sort of painful comment. And I have heard that very often French mothers are critical, but I've heard that that's true for a lot of other cultures. So I don't know whether or not that's relevant, but um, initially it was very painful and I didn't really know what to do because I really was not out of character when I posted myself on Facebook. I was like, what? So I didn't know how to hold it. I'll be really honest. Like first it was like, like it was in my stomach for a long time. And at first, I think that I just allowed myself to move through it and to say, okay, like you're going to have to kind of do something with this and still put yourself out there. I don't even love those words, but put yourself, I had to still show up. And I think in just having conversations, it started to soften, just naming it with other people. It started to soften. And that this was indeed part of the required growth of self with a capital S of expansion,
Mm.
because we have to expand enough to receive what we're creating. And so if we're not in expansion, we can't receive it. We're like still here. We
Mhm.
can't, right? And if we're in business for ourselves, we are required to expand. And then over time, at one point, what I did, this is so many years ago, I actually had a full conversation with my mother, asking her about her childhood.
Mm.
I was like, I don't know my mother other than as my mother.
Mhm.
And at the time, she was living in Newport, Rhode Island. My family lived in Newport, Rhode Island for like 32, 34 years. She's now in New Mexico. And so we were sitting in this restaurant, this favorite of ours, like overlooking the yachts and the sailboats, and it was right, it was beautiful. It was just a beautiful summer setting. And we sat for the longest time and talked and talked and talked. And then every time she said something, I was like, well, what about this? What about that? Like, because I knew what she was referring to. I knew my grandparents, appartement is like not an apartment in Paris. It's like the one you own, not the one you rent, right? And I mean, I had all these childhood memories of it. And I was like, well, what was that like when you were in that huge dining room and this salon and all this? And she told me a lot about where her insecurities came from. I didn't even have to ask or tell her that I had had this experience.
Mm.
I understood her so much better. She had two younger sisters. She's like, they were always smarter than me. Her grandfather was a doctor. Her grandmother was a doctor who never practiced, but like got the degree from the Louvre, like museum, like the whatever art institute of the Louvre that would she studied with them. She she was like, so my mother was like, oh my gosh, I was always around these like super smart, educated people, and like her insecurities came through, and she said it was hard. I had so much compassion around that conversation, so much deeper understanding, because it was also a different era, that over time it dissolved. It was not like I'm going to go have a conversation with her now. I'm going to tell her. I wasn't like I'm going to move through this and overcome it and whatever. It lived for a while. I'm being really honest. It lived for a while. And I kept moving through and I prepared myself more for what could come, not expecting that another shoe would drop. Not that, right?
Mhm.
But just to realize that there's a paradox here. Like it's, and often in life there's truth to two things at the same time. And we're navigating. It's not just all the freeway that has no cars on it and it's easeful. Like sometimes it's like, wow, like we're holding a lot here.
Yes.
Right. So that's how I moved through it.
I love that. It's interesting because I know I've certainly had comments from my mom over the years. And I think the first time I was on Instagram in my lingerie, she's like, "What is happening?" But at that point, I felt I was so tied to my purpose.
Hmm.
And after struggling, from my perspective, after struggling with body image for so long, I was like, this isn't about me. This is about other women liberating themselves.
Yes.
And it just was so much greater than me. I was like, this is not about my insecurities. But it's so fascinating with both of our mothers, like that cultural upbringing. And I think, and it is interesting that your mother was raised in France and had different sets of values and different things, but there was a lot of overlap.
Hmm.
And I think the messaging is very similar to tone it down, don't be seen, don't make a spectacle of yourself. And it's just handed down. And I think in a lot of ways, our generation is the generation that's saying, you know what, this does not apply anymore. These rules do not apply anymore. We're going to break that cycle. But there are so many women, I'm sure so many of the clients that you work with, the leaders and the coaches that you work with, who have those tapes playing in their head. Don't be too loud, don't be too much, you can't do that. And I think in a lot of ways it encourages women to almost disconnect from themselves
Yes.
because they want to do something, they feel they are pulled to do something, but every fiber of their being that they've been raised with tells them that they can't. And so I feel like there's a disconnect there. In your experience, Francoise, what do you think it is that has caused women to disconnect so much from their own presence and their own power in the first place?
That's such a big question, right? I think this probably multifaceted too. There's obviously the upbringing piece, there's the cultural piece. A lot of us do so much work in moving through our own inner barriers, And then we bump up around against the invisible cultural inner barriers that are very, very strong, right? And um, oh my gosh, can you ask me that again? I just lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry.
What is it that you think causes women to disconnect from their own presence and their own power in the first place
That's right.
when it comes to being visible?
Yeah. I mean, at the core, I think it's a sense of insecurity, probably, right? And and safety, like feeling like if I put myself out there in this criticism or judgment, like that's a strong thing to be willing to experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember in some of the teachings that I trained in, um, that learning, like really becoming aware. This was like this huge thing for me that we are, if we want to be out there and visible, we require to source our own safety. Now that blew my mind. Like I was like, whoa, I have the power to source my own safety was like monumental to me. Like it was just like the awareness gave me back my power in a way of I have the power to do this. Like I actually can do this. And I don't like people are going to either like it or not like it or agree or disagree. And I might fumble and I might, do like I'm gonna take the imperfect action. One of the things that our teacher would always say is, "You are brilliant. You're brilliant and imperfect." Like I have everything that it takes to be brilliant and imperfect at the same time, right? So then
I love
it
that.
opens up a whole new door. You're like, okay, I'm going to be brilliant and imperfect. That's fine. That's fine. And that's the humanity that people connect with anyway,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it's
Absolutely.
this idea, I think, that for a long time, somehow we interpreted that that perfection is desired, right? Like everything we've seen in social media hasn't helped, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
even before social media, I remember being aware of like, what would this outfit look like perfectly? Like I had that tendency to want to have the perfect outfit, the perfect look, the perfect this, partly because I enjoyed it, right? Like I don't want to diminish that part where you just feel so good in your clothes and you're just like, oh, I feel so fabulous in this. Like this feels like me and I feel like I'm walking with this extra confidence and I love this. I don't want to diminish that at all. And if we see ourselves as less than or not enough to this perfect image that we have interpreted we need to be, that is a huge gap that lives inside of us all of the time.
Mm.
Right. So I think it's all these different pieces, these different facets of life that brought us there.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And you and I grew up in the time era of like the waif models. Right? Like the
Heroin chic,
yes, right?
toxic diet culture.
Oh, right, exactly. I remember I was 22 years old or 23 living in Boston, and I had just a little bit dabbled into modeling, and like locally, like little runway shows, and like locally,
Mm-hmm.
and then I decided I was going to check out an agency and just see what would happen. And I was 5'8", 122 pounds, and they wanted me to lose like 6 or 8 pounds. Like, I mean, I tried for like a couple weeks, and I was like, I can't do this. I cannot, like, I can't. Like, I could not, like, nothing would budge on the scale. And I also knew intellectually at the time that that wasn't a good idea. Like I knew that. And I thought, but I was curious enough to see, like, I wonder if I could lose some because I thought that, that size was actually quite thin, but it wasn't thin enough for the industry. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
those kinds of things subconsciously were fed to us for decades of our lives, I think.
Absolutely. And toxic diet culture, and still we hear the messages.
Hmm.
And I think what we're seeing on the runways now, it's kind of like a harkening back to heroin chic, to the rail thin models, to, I mean, you see actresses, and it's interesting. And I'm all about you do you and express yourself in the way that makes you feel good. But when I start seeing a trend, like it's not a healthy trend at all.
No. And I think that's always been my underneath it all driving force, if you will. Like I've always cared about well-being and wellness. Like I had this very keen like this experience when I was 20 years old of becoming really aware of the power of food on our bodies. And that set me on like a thing that I've lived ever since. It was like, oh my gosh, I was fascinated by what the body could do with healthy food and lifestyle. Like I've always had that, but it really came into like full focus. And so if it wasn't healthy, it was like, yeah, no, you know?
And
And I
that,
think that's part of the beauty, by the way. I
yes.
think that's what makes us beautiful is when we have our vitality coursing through us, our radiance is real, it's not manufactured. And again, like I also, just like you, believe that women should do like what feels right to them and their self-expression through this world, through our experience living in our bodies. I feel very strongly about that. I've had a lot of conversations about that in some of our groups. And, women revealing, like, oh my gosh, like maybe if I did want to do Botox, I've always thought I wouldn't because of what my mother thinks. And I haven't done anything, like, I've done nothing. And I'm so respectful of like, if someone wants to, like, by all means, like, why would I be the one? I'm not drawn to it at this
Mhm.
moment. And I also say never, don't ever say never. Like,
You never know.
you never know. You never know. And so I really do feel that we need to be kinder also with other women, not just with ourselves, but with respecting fully and honoring what another woman chooses.
Absolutely. And I think it's so I love that, but I also see that I think social media has so much power. And it can be so easy when we start seeing everybody doing Botox. It can be easy to start thinking it's almost like FOMO. Like, am I missing something? Should I be doing it? I've felt that way about a few things. I'm like, should I be doing HRT? I don't do it. I don't have any problem with anybody who does it, and I have considered it. But there was this feeling, and I caught myself, and it was really scary. It was like, everybody's doing it. What am I missing? And it can be like that feeling of just,
Yeah.
you want to jump on the bandwagon too. But I think that FOMO and comparisonitis and imposter syndrome can be so prevalent. We know it's there in our younger years, but I think as we get to midlife, it's like doubt starts to creep in. This doubt about
Yeah.
ourselves. Am I still relevant? Am I still good enough? If I still got it? We look in the mirror and we see more gray or we see more wrinkle, and these questions of doubt start to creep in. And I think that it can be so easy to mistake comparisonitis for confidence sometimes.
Oh, that's a good one.
And we can get caught up in that. And I think it strips our confidence.
I agree with you. I mean, I I don't know that any woman doesn't feel that at some point,
Mm,
right? When you see it's like being in a full force river, right? And you're trying to like sustain what you think is right for you and then like you can easily get like taken by the current,
hmm
right? And that comparison is so destructive inside,
hmm
right? To the essence of who we are. And I've definitely experienced that where I'm like, ooh, and it's not necessarily about like It's usually about the things where I don't feel as secure. Like I know that for right now, like I mean, I had a woman tell me the other day, she's like, I'm 67. She's like, she came in, she's like, I just got these cheekbones added here. And she's like, you need to start now before it's too late for you. And I was like, you know, I'm good. I'm good. I'll be honest, I like embrace a little wrinkle here and there.
Yeah.
I kind of like it.
It's
Like I
it's
kind of
part of
like it.
our
I'm like, oh,
natural
look at all
beauty.
my little wrinkles over here. Look at
And
them.
you
Like, look
rock
at
them.
them.
You wear them
Like,
well. You wear them well.
it's like, I don't know. There's a part of me that delights in it. I'm kind of like,
Well, I look at wrinkles as you can only earn wrinkles. You can go get Botox and get rid of them, but you can't go get wrinkles. You
yeah,
have to earn them.
I I kind of delight in them, you know? And again, like maybe down the road, I don't know. I have a feeling that I probably won't be drawn to that. Like that's just kind of something that isn't my thing. And I don't know. And I found it interesting that this woman who was 67 was like, you better start now before it's too late. Like, okay,
Oh
thank
my
you.
gosh.
You know?
Wow.
But I think that it's the I think it's really it's chipping away at the health of our own identity, of who we are in the world,
Yes.
right? And it's
Yeah.
very superficial. Like and I don't mean to name it as like, oh, it's superficial, you shouldn't care. No, I care about how I look. I do care, you know, and I think it's a wonderful thing because it elevates our spirit to care about how we feel, how we look. Like I really believe that beauty is, yes, of course, the inside and the outside, and it's externally, and it's landscapes, and it's gorgeous cities that were thoughtfully, built with art in mind and sculptures as you walk through them, like you do in Europe, because it elevates citizens, like the feeling of citizens walking through the world in a different way, right? Like all of these things matter, I believe. All
Yes.
of them matter, and allowing for the comparison to, chip away at our own essence and confidence, it's kind of too bad. And I think there's a point where that's just actually a choice that we must make from within.
Well, I think, it kind of goes back to what were we told culturally from an early age. And so many of us can get caught up in that performing the version of ourselves that we think everybody wants to see.
Hmm.
And then all of a sudden we wake up and we're like, who am I? But I mean, everything I teach is all about embracing who you are authentically, like showing up, being your authentic self. And I think I love your philosophy about delighting in the wrinkles. Like that's your magic. Yeah, that's what lights you up. I'm not saying you light up because of the wrinkles, but you light up because you're not making yourself wrong. You're not looking at those wrinkles and saying, I need to go get Botox or I'm not good enough. You're delighting in those. You're taking pleasure in those. And I think that right there is like the secret. It's that authenticity and that ability to embrace who you are
Yeah.
is what cultivates our confidence in midlife. In
Hmm.
midlife, there's no way we can turn back the clock and look the same we looked when we were
Hell
20, 30.
no, I don't think
Cheekbones or
so.
not, like it
Right.
doesn't matter. But I think that so many women do spend years performing versions of themselves, chasing the latest trend, chasing everything that in a lot of ways they don't even know who they are anymore. What would you say to that woman to help bring her back to herself?
I think I would, let me just feel that for a moment. I mean, the first thing I would do is actually give her space. Like I would claim some spaciousness to be with that,
Mm-hmm.
right? And not feel like I have to overcome anything about the fact that maybe I've lost my confidence around who I am, or I've been drifting away from the essence of who I am. I think we all go through that at some point in various stages of life, because I know that I too was seeking that performance and perfection and whatever when I was younger. I didn't know any differently, right? I really didn't. And it served me pretty well. It served me. And then I think there's, again, multiple things happening at the same time. Like we're in this era right now at that midlife stage. Nobody's been at the midlife stage in this current era before, right? So there's a lot happening. All of a sudden, menopause, wrinkles, appearance is just not an underserved industry. It's being fabulously monetized on our insecurities. And so I believe the first thing is to really be with that. Like, what is true about me? Like, what can I recognize about what is true about me that I actually can love and respect and honor and remember about myself? Like, if I was this vibrant, kick-ass young woman, you know, that had it going on, like that woman, she's not gone. She's just way wiser and better than ever.
Yeah.
And it's reconnecting to like, and again, it's not something you can mindset your way through. Like you want to be present with the feelings of it all. And then ask yourself, now what do I require? What do I need? Like, what do I need? Like, what am I feeling right now about all this? And then what do I need? Maybe I need spaciousness. Maybe I need to realize like the beauty of who I am, that if I stop listening to all the external stuff that makes me feel insecure, that I can actually reconnect to my vitality, my true essence. She will shine. Like that alone, exercising, movement. I think movement is absolutely essential. I've
Key.
always felt that.
Okay.
And I want to add deep stretching because stretching is what actually opens us up to all of our meridian, like really stretching, right?
Mm.
Opens up all our meridian channels. And in the back of the legs, we have six on each side, like six and six and six, right? I studied with Korean masters for a few years, and it was a lot about activating our meridian channels because that has the chi energy flowing through, or they call it ki, like ki in Korean. But when we do whatever it takes to have like our key energy or chi energy flowing again, oh my gosh. Not only do you feel fabulous, you feel your energy like, oh my gosh, I can feel my aliveness. It shows up on your face. Enthusiasm, aliveness, joy, pleasure, delight. It shows up right here. When I'm not feeling good or I'm insecure or whatever, you can see it on my face,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes. And that aliveness, that's better than any Botox.
Better than anything. Better than anything.
Better than anything. Yeah. So let's talk about style for a minute.
I'd love to.
How has your style evolved as you've stepped into midlife?
You know, I don't know how much it's evolved. I still like, I love the understated elegance. That's just kind of in my style forever. When I was younger, I remember applying for a job at a department store, and I specifically spoke to the woman in the accessories department because I loved a beautiful scarf. I grew up with scarves. Like my grandmother would gift me like, a Dior scarf or an Hermes scarf, and like I don't have a collection of them, but I did actually, when she passed away, inherit her collection of Hermes gloves in the boxes. My mother was like,
Mm.
"Oh, Françoise would be the one to inherit that," like. And I was like, "Thank you." Like I just love those things, right? These beautiful things. And I would say I again, I had this duality, if you will, where I wanted to fit in the American culture and dress like them, but I always really liked my European way of dressing a lot. Like I loved it. And I always recognized that I did. And so in many ways, it's either I've maintained it most of my life,
Mhm.
and I feel even a bigger return. Like I love just a really great blouse with, simple pants, or like like I just really gravitate in that direction. When it's a little cooler out, I am known to always have a scarf on. I love tying them. For a little while, I worked at J. McLaughlin. Do you know the store J. McLaughlin?
Yes, we have one here in Raleigh.
Yeah. So I've been working, I actually have been working there for fun for the last couple of years, and my last day is like next week. And because it was really good for me while I was going through menopause and had anxiety to get
Mm.
out and just be around women and beautiful things and have fun, and I just enjoyed the heck out of it. And then I was like, it's complete. I don't need to do that anymore. Like I'm just gonna have my weekends back and my time back in a different way. And it's like just playing with the clothes there, which they have tons of patterns and all these different things. I tend to gravitate towards the simple. Like it's kind of what I love. And it was super fun to, look at, I forgot my train of thought again. This must be the menopause thing. Oh my God. I went off on a
Scarves, Jim
tangent or
McLaughlin.
something.
How has your style changed?
Oh, how has my style changed? Yeah, I don't think it's changed all that much,
Mm,
because even inside of there, I gravitate towards like the things that don't have a ton of patterns, like things that feel like timeless,
mm-hmm,
elegant, understated. That's always been my thing.
mm.
I will wear a scarf. Oh, I was gonna say the reason I brought up Jay McClellan's people be like, oh, Françoise knows how to tie scarves. Ask her. That
Yeah,
was the point.
yes.
Oh, I
You tie a
apologize
scarf
for the
very well, by
people.
the way.
What's that?
You tie a scarf very well.
Oh, thank you.
But how do you think that style comes? Where have you seen in your clients style coming into play in terms of helping a woman's confidence or hurting it?
Wow. I think it's part of her discovering her style and then trusting it. I think it's that because actually, this is such a great question because I can see the lack of confidence in so many of the women when I worked there.
Hmm.
And I was always very honest. I was always like, do you want me to be honest? Like, do you want me to be honest? I like this on you, not that so much for these reasons,
Mm-hmm.
and so many of them did not have a sense of what their style is. They're actually very much lacking confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Like it surprised me. And I think for women, it's learning their style, which is probably exactly what you do, is knowing what that is because it lives inside of them.
Yes.
I've never questioned
Yes.
my style. It
Yeah.
might be boring to other people, but I've never questioned it inside of myself. Like it's always been like,
Mm-hmm.
oh no, I know. Like I know what I like. I know what suits me. I know how it makes me feel when I walk through the world when I dress like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I've tried
Mm-hmm.
other things for sure. I've been creative and tried different things, and I'm kind of like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that was a little trendy trial there for a minute.
What
But
would you
it's
say
not the, go ahead.
what would you say your signature items are? You mentioned a great scarf.
I love a great shirt, like a blouse. It sounds so boring, but I love a really great blouse. I always wear my collar up.
Me too. Me too. I love to
Always.
pop that color.
I was at someone's home we were celebrating like a book collaboration, and her daughter came and fixed my collar because it was bothering her. She's like, I need to fix your collar. She was like 16 or
Oh my
17 years old. I
gosh.
was like, okay,
Yes.
yeah, no, it's that way on purpose.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So scarves, a great shirt. What else? What are some other piece? What is a piece that you would put on or an outfit that you would put on like on a day that you woke up and you weren't feeling very confident? I mean, not that that happens very often, but
Oh, it
sometimes when you
does.
just need, we all have those moments where you just need a little extra boost. What would you put on?
So I don't know that it's a one thing for me. I usually at that moment tune into what would make me feel good.
Mm.
It might not always be the same thing. There's not like a one thing. Because and I know this because I definitely have those days and I'm like, all right, what can I put on? How can I dress? I will take the time to like wash my hair, and I wear makeup almost every day. I enjoy wearing makeup. I really do. I don't do it every single day, but most. But I will tune into what outfit today would actually really bring my energy up. And that can vary. That can totally vary. So I don't have a one thing specifically. Um, I would say, and sometimes it's also putting on because I wear a lot of flats. It's putting on like a platform
Mm.
or like a
Mm-hmm.
raised heel or something.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm like, oh, like I feel raised right with the
It
shoes.
elevates your confidence.
It does. It really does. Like I notice that I walk differently when I have height on my shoes.
Mm. Well, sometimes you have to, just for practical reasons. But yes, you definitely carry yourself differently.
Yeah.
Definitely carry yourself
Yep.
differently. But I talk so much about style. Style is such a great tool for us to use as a catalyst, on days that we're not feeling great, when we can put something on that really allows us to step into our authentic selves and express that to the world.
Yeah.
And it could be
I
so
couldn't
much
agree with you
fun.
more.
Yeah.
Style has been part of my life for as long as I can remember, and I love it. And that was one of the things that I thought I had to tone down a little bit to make other people comfortable. And at one point, I was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. And I'm not doing that. I love it too much to, I love it. I love style. I love even experimenting, but really like when you own your style from the inside, it's an energy. I mean, let's be honest, it's an energy that you can rely on. Like,
Yeah.
you can rely on it. It's like confidence boosting. And we're not immune to something beautiful lifting our spirits.
And it's not
We're,
just superficial.
no,
It's not just performative.
no, I agree with you. We're having this whole beauty conversation for the whole month of June inside of my membership, and we're going everywhere with it, everywhere. All
Mm.
these things have come up about women growing up with the mother saying, "Oh, if you want to be beautiful, you have to suffer." Like, ugh, what a pairing that is, right? And so I think when a woman really understands who she is, and I think it can go both ways. She can understand who she is and know herself, and her style comes from there. Or you can start with the style and then she discovers herself.
Yes.
Like, I think
It's
it
like
works.
dress for the woman that you want to be.
Yeah, I think it works both ways. I
Yes.
think there's so much power there. I love what I mean, I could talk about that with you for a long time. I love it.
We could have some fun. Say more about, you said you had the feeling that you had to tone it down for a while. Can you say more about that?
Yeah, yeah. It was probably in my 30s when I was working at a consulting firm. Nobody ever told me. Here's what's really interesting about this. Nobody ever asked me to or anything like that. I was always very well dressed. I loved a beautiful suit with a dress. Like that's when the more tapered going out. It was short above the knee. And I remember having this fuchsia suit with the skirt
Mm.
and this very tailored jacket, or a white one where it was a dress and the like. So I used to work in recruiting. So I would go to on campus to campuses, like we recruited at the top schools. And so I would go to the campuses and be the person who'd coordinate all the interviews, and the students would meet me. Like I knew that I knew that my appearance was inviting. I was aware of it. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I knew that I was a good face for the company in recruiting because I had a really well-dressed presence and I enjoyed it. I loved it. I really, really loved it. And then there were times when I was kind of like, not through that, but during that time, that era where even if I'd go home to Rhode Island, like I was living in Boston, or I'd go from Atlanta to Rhode Island, and like I'd have my cute skirts on, and like, just it's almost like I had this little awareness of, okay, don't go too far. Not because of safety, but because of like, what would people think?
Hmm.
Right? There was a little bit of that in there for a while. It was like a little bit like I used to run a lot. Like I only ran one marathon, but I used to run a lot. And I remember being asked like, why do you run so much? And it was just because I enjoyed it, because I
The
loved
other
how I felt
side.
when I was running. I was feeling strong, as I was working out a lot at that time. Like that was a phase. And then I worked out a lot. That was a phase. And then I moved into yoga and the flexibility. And the reason I moved into yoga is because I didn't have enough body fat to get pregnant. So I was like, okay, like I'll go into yoga and then deep stretching. And so I moved through all these phases. And so that was just one of those phases where I can't, there was a hesitation. I wouldn't say I dimmed it down a lot, but there was always like this hesitation of like, should I? Is this okay?
Hmm.
Like, is this too much? Like, in my desire for appearance, for beautiful, feeling really good inside of that. And then at one point I was like, yeah, that's okay. Like, that's okay. Like, you can do that.
Hmm.
Like, I started to see examples of other women doing the same thing. I'm like, well, they're doing it. I can do that too, right? Like, it's okay to actually own that. But it was not immediate. Again, it was more of like a hesitation, like a constant like awareness, like paying attention to the
Hmm.
energy around it.
Hmm.
So it was subtle. Other people might not know that I don't think it was obvious.
Hmm.
But those things are energetics that run through you until you release them with like the awareness of noticing and being like, oh, I'm doing
Yes.
that.
Yeah. And I think we all deal with that at some point, especially if, if we've hit a new age, a new, decade, or our bodies change or something shifted, and all of a sudden we can start to look around at other people, not necessarily to compare ourselves, but almost like you said, like you saw other people doing it, and you were like, okay, well, that's okay. We can be permission slips for other people.
Yeah.
And I think when we keep that in mind, I think women can get so caught up in, oh, I can't do that. But if we look at it as when we liberate ourselves, we liberate others around us because we need role model. Everybody needs role models at every age, at every phase. And so if we can kind of flip the script and look at it like that, like that's where, okay, I'm liberating my sisters by going gray or putting my hair up or wearing a short skirt or whatever we're doing.
I love what you just said. I hadn't quite thought of it that way. It makes perfect sense. It's beautiful that we can be permission slips. It flips the script on comparison to, oh my gosh, like I'm not measuring up to, oh my God, she's my permission slip.
Yeah, we're looking around for evidence like, ooh, can I
Oh.
do this? Oh, she did it. Okay, yes, I can do this. And then I can put my own spin on it.
Hmm.
And I think what if more women thought about things that way? Like, how cool would that be?
I think it'd be amazing. It'd be amazing. It would change. Listen, it would change the world.
It would change the world.
There's no question. It would like raise the consciousness.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think, how can we get more women to, I think in the work that both you and I do, like this is the work, is to empower women who can empower other women. But I think when it comes to being visible, what's one thing that you would recommend for a midlife woman who feels like I can't be visible? I can't be seen. I can't wear that. I can't do that. I can't start the business. I can't. Because they're so worried about all the voices, all the stuff that they've heard. What's one thing that you would say to her?
I mean, we know that she could, that she can. I think it would be it would be to allow herself to, I mean, assuming she wants to start the business for whether it's for herself, for her livelihood, for her, impact that she cares about, for whatever it is, it's allowing for that to be bigger and also to recognize like, listen, like I'm the one putting the limitations on it, you know? It isn't easy always. It's not always easy, right? But I always I always just tune in to being like, what's the deeper truth of that? Like what's underneath that would
Hmm.
actually allow me to move forward and to say, yeah, for this, I'm willing. I'm willing. Like I sometimes have a fear of like not manifesting all my dreams. And I'm like, I can't, I can't go without having put it all on the table. Like, I can't, like, I mean, some things are lessons. I'm like, I don't want to repeat that lesson. So let me make sure I handle it this lifetime. Like I'm like, no, I don't. I want to be used. Like I want, like, use me, utilize me. Like, you know, that doesn't mean the fear doesn't come up. It does come up. It totally comes up. But what's the deeper truth underneath it all? Like, if you really, because if she's like, oh my God, I would love to wear that, but I can't, there's a bigger desire under there. There's
Mm.
an aliveness under there. There's like deliciousness, right? There's delight. There's like, oh, mm. So I would look at what's really underneath it. Like, what's the deeper truth of what you desire? Because we have so
Mhm.
many yearnings. I think as women, we have a lot of yearnings and desires, and there's an experience that occurs when we allow ourselves, when that, if you give her the permission slip and she receives it, oh, oh, you're gonna feel so
Magical.
good, right?
Magical.
Magical. And for her to experience that of herself is the whole point. It's the whole gift.
Yes. What do you think that the most alive, radiant, confident women understand about themselves that others often miss?
My perception is that they're unapologetic about what they desire. Like, I really think it's that simple.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we can be unapologetic without being in your face kind of thing. Like, I think we don't want to confuse those two things. Like, I'm either all out and bold and this and that. I'm in reaction, and you're just swinging the pendulum, same energy on the other side, right?
Yeah.
Versus I'm willing, wow, I'm choosing to be unapologetic about what I desire to experience. And I think it matters even more in midlife because we've already given ourselves to so much living and life. And, if we've been parents, we've given a lot. We've
Mm-hmm.
given a lot. I think we've probably also received a lot. And there's the next iteration. I'm not a big on the word reinvention per se, but if that's the word that works, then great. But there's this next level of who we are. There's this next, it's like if you look at the higher self, like she knows, like she's like, come on, like, come on, I've got you. I know you want this. Don't you think?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So tune in with her. Like, get the
Yes.
permission from her if you need to. But like, if that desire is there, it's like really meant for you. So look
Mm.
underneath the like really look for the deeper truth of the whole thing is where I would go.
Absolutely. And quit telling yourself you can't.
Mm, totally.
Can't should not be in our vocabulary unless we're
Nor should.
unless it's something somebody else wants us to do that we really don't want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Francoise, what else would you like to share with our audience? Well, do you have any parting words of wisdom for stepping into greater confidence, greater visibility, more authenticity at midlife?
I I really believe, and I mean this, I'm not just saying it. I really believe we're stepping into the best of who we are. Like I think we are designed for that. And I'll tell you, in my lowest moment during menopause, sat at my desk here and said, okay, if I really believe that I was created by God, source, the universe, what kind of sense would it make that I was designed to decline?
Mm,
Because I was like really feeling it. It was low. It was like, I mean, it was a low point in my life. And I didn't expect to go through menopause in that way because I'd always had a healthy, conscious lifestyle.
mhm,
And I was unraveled, like on my knees. I had really severe symptoms, just really hard. And the response I got when I asked that, like I was so like, what kind of a sense would it make for me that I was designed to decline? And the voice came through, call it intuition, call it the answer, whatever, was no, you're here to divine. You were designed to divine.
mm,
That is how I started getting up in the morning. I am designed to divine. And it is now the core. of everything I do in my coaching, in my groups, because it was so profound.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't come up with this. I did not come up with this. I was in serious inquiry. And we are stepping into the best because it is the wisest. It is the time where we shed all our tolerations. There's a grief period for a lot of women. There's a lot that happens. It's massive. I'm not minimizing that. And if we can hold it in the context that we were designed for this, for the highest, not only for the highest good of all of society, by the way, but for the highest good of our own self, like, what a time to embrace it. Like, what a time to thrive.
Ooh, high five. Amen to that.
Yes.
Yes. I love it.
I think our beauty's only getting started.
I agree. And I think it's time that we shifted our perception of beauty so that we can actually see it, so that we can truly see it. And when we start embracing our wrinkles and embracing our grays and embracing all the things that come with midlife.
I know. And don't you want to be around more women who do that? Like, it's fun.
Yes.
It's
absolutely.
fun. It's fulfilling.
It's playful. It's alive.
Playful. Excellent word. Playful.
Yes. Françoise, how can everybody find you?
Oh, I'm on most social media, but not super active. The place where I'm really pouring a lot of my energy in is the Substack. So, like, not just to follow, but to subscribe, because then you get all of the goodness for free. Subscribe for free. And I would say Substack, and it's under Francoise Everett. And the whole thing's called Elle Unleashed, because that's like the name of my business, Elle Unleashed, which is appropriate to our conversation. And I talk about body and soul sovereignty there, and I talk about the new era of, this new beyond era of, like, what happens after these thresholds that we go through. And I talk about the art of living elegantly. So, like, if that resonates, I would say subscribe on Substack for free.
Yes, go subscribe, go follow Françoise, and I'll drop all the links in the show notes.
Thank
Françoise,
you.
thank you so much for being here. This has been fantastic.
I love this with you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey friend, if this conversation moved you, inspired you, or helped you to feel more seen in some way, I would be so honored if you'd leave me a 5-star review and share this episode with another woman who would enjoy it. Then come join us in the Facebook group and share your biggest takeaway from today's episode, because visibility isn't a solo journey. And remember, you're not invisible. You're simply being called to express more of who you truly are.